Hello. So this screencast lecture is going to go over the different types of degrees that you can earn, as well as a little bit about transfer and some thoughts about how to think about your major and choose your major. So let's start here with certificates. You can earn a certificate or an associate degree at Citrus. That is the highest level you can go. So you will stop at this level at Citrus College. Certificates range from about 18 all the way up to 50 units. And certificates are designed to provide you a specific skill to take to the workplace. Some examples of certificates at Citrus College are auto technology, cosmetology, water technology, public works. And then we have certificates in things like ceramics, some web design. So again, they're there to give you a specific skill. And to earn a certificate, you do not have to complete general education. In order to get an associate degree, minimum 60 units, you do need that general education. And a lot of these things you have both options. So for example, auto technology, you can earn the full associate degree and do all your GE with it, or you can just do the certificate. And that choice often comes to either personal choice or what is the industry you're going into prefer. Do you have a better chance at getting hired if you have the full associate, or is the skill set that you get in the certificate enough to get you employed? So those things can vary. You'll see here we have Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, and then the associate degrees for transfer. And those are the same as an associate degree, but they're specifically designed to help you move into the Cal State system. And I'm going to talk about the Cal State system in a minute. If you decide to move on beyond Citrus, then you potentially be going into a bachelor's degree. And you'll see here it says 120, 140 units. Now, the primary thing I want you to know from this is that you've done half of that at Citrus College if you transfer. Okay, so you are doing your lower division work in your subject. So for example, if you're a psychology major, you're doing Psych 101, you're doing statistics, you're doing developmental, and all your GE. You're taking that with you to your university, and then you're doing the second half of your degree there. And when you get there, you're primarily focused only on that subject. So when you get to your university, you're primarily going to just take those psych courses, right? You might have one or two general ed, but for the most part, you've completed that at Citrus. So you are doing half of your bachelor's degree at Citrus, and you're completing the other half at your university. Now, from the bachelor's degree, you might be considering graduate school. And options with graduate school are things like a master's degree, usually take about 2 years, sometimes 3, depends on your subject matter, ranges 45 to 60 units. You might consider law school, that's about 3 years or is 3 years, medical school, 7 or more years, or a doctorate, PhD or EDD. EDDs are focused, usually like you'll find your administrators in colleges and schools have an EDD, an educational doctorate. Professional doctorate might be like a PhD in history, and you might find that some of your professors have professional degrees. Okay, so now a quick side note, in order to go to law school, medical school, for example, there's no such thing as a pre-law degree. You can go to law school with any degree, any bachelor's you want. If you know, I want to be a corporate lawyer, then you might choose business. If you want to be a criminal defense attorney, you might choose criminal justice. But there is no right major for law school. A lot of times people might choose English or philosophy because it trains you to be a great writer and thinker, and you need that in law school. Same thing with med school. You do not need to be a bio or chem major to go to med school. You can be an art major and apply to med school. You still have to complete some science requirements before you go, but you do not need a specific degree to get into med school. So this is definitely the type of thing you want to talk about with your counselor to get more specific information about what you would like. But that's an important note to know, that your undergrad degree does not have to quote unquote match the next step. Okay? Same thing with a master's. I can have a bachelor's degree in chemistry and I can go get a master's degree in psychology. They don't have to be the same. Okay, so a few notes about transfer. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the specifics here in this video. Transfer is kind of complex. It's very individual to each student, so you definitely always want to talk one-on-one with a counselor about it. This is a map of California showing you the UC campuses. There are 9 campuses. And this is a map of California showing you the Cal State campuses, of which there are 23. And so we are all one big family, right? You have community colleges, you have the Cal State system, you have the UC system. And as a community college student, you need a minimum of 60 units to transfer to a UC or a Cal State. A lot of students ask, what's the difference between the two? One of the differences, UCs are considered research institutions. Okay, so they often have a more theory-based approach to their studies and their majors. So for example, let's say you've decided you want to be a social worker. If you go to a UC, you're going to be a sociology major or a psychology major, perhaps. At a Cal State, they actually have a major in social work. So they have some more quote unquote hands-on majors. If you want to be a kinesiology major, you want to do physical therapy, or maybe you want to teach PE, you can major in kines at a Cal State. At a UC, there are no kines majors. You would have to do something like biology or human biology. So that's one of the main differences there. Some of their majors have a different approach. A psychology major to UC is going to have a little more science than a psychology major at a Cal State. The other main difference is cost. The UC system is about $30,000 a year, including housing if you live on campus. And Cal States are more in like the $12,000 to $15,000 range. But I will say that UCs have potentially very great financial aid packages and scholarships. And so you don't ever want to eliminate a college based on cost, because you never know what kind of package you're going to get. And UCs have some really good packages where I've seen students, it might cost them less to go to UC than a Cal State based on their awards. So always just consider all your options and talk to counselors about the specifics behind that. And then you've got some private or out-of-state colleges as options as well. Now, what those colleges offer are that they don't have the same black and white rules as the Cal States and UCs, because they're not in our family, right? So you can transfer to like Laverne or APU with less than 60 units. You're just going to do more of your classes at their college. And again, this is a conversation you want to have with your counselor, but those are also options for you to consider as well. So let's talk about majors. Now, first of all, about 60% of students that come to college are undecided. And the students that do come in decided, about 72% change their mind at least once. So a lot of students feel like they're the only ones that don't have a plan, or all of the people, their friends, they all know their major and they don't. That's generally not the case. So if you really don't know yet, that's quote unquote normal. And I think it's a good thing. You wanna keep your options open when you come in. So let's talk about some myths concerning majors. Choosing a major and a career are the same thing. So this is kind of what I was just talking about in terms of if you want to go to med school, law school, anything like that. Your major doesn't determine the rest of your life. Okay, so if you start asking people, what is your bachelor's degree and what do you do now? A lot of times those things are not going to cross over. If I look at all my closest friends from college, I have one in about 10 that was a psychology major and said he was going to be a psychologist, and that's what he's doing now. The rest of us, we don't necessarily always work directly related to our major, but of course, just those transferable skills and all the things we learned in college help us in our everyday jobs. Now, there are careers that do require a major, right? So, for example, nurses, accountants, engineers, they have to have that degree, right? We, of course, can't have our nurses not have a nursing degree. Those are kind of technical jobs that require very specific training. But most jobs in the world don't necessarily require you have a specific major. Okay, so employers are going to be looking for transferable skills, fit into the organization, things like that, things that you've learned about throughout this course, more so than what does your exact degree say. So this is along the same lines. Your major and career are lifelong choices. So you know, baby boomer generation, which is the generation slowly retiring out, those folks stayed in their careers for a big part of their life, right? They may have graduated from college or high school and stayed in the same career and retired from it. That's not as common in millennial generation and Gen Z. Now Gen X, which comes after boomers and before millennials, they're kind of somewhere in the middle. But bottom line is that younger generations are more willing to switch careers. They're more willing to completely shake things up and go down a different direction. And so you don't have to feel like your degree determines the rest of your life. There's a lot of ways to shift and change within the working world. Um, and so don't feel like once you choose your major, this is your whole life, because that's just not how things are working. People are making all kinds of different decisions. Liberal arts majors means unemployment, right? So I hear this a lot from students where they say, well, I really want to major in art, or I really want to major in English, but I don't think I'll be able to get a job, or my family doesn't think I'll ever find work with that. And again, getting a job is about the skills you bring to that organization. As you earn your degree, you want to think about, where am I going to be an intern? Where am I going to get some work experience? Those are the things that are going to give you the skills to get hired. So it absolutely, liberal arts majors are valued because they give people the type of skills that employers want, right? These are not things. An employer can teach you technical skills. They can teach you how to use their computer system, and things like that, but they can't often teach these type of things, which is what they're looking for. So do not be afraid to major in a liberal arts major. You just have to think about how you're going to then market yourself. And you should make your career decisions based on the job market. You don't want to follow trends, right? That should not be the main reason for your decision. Now, of course, market trends and salary, they're important things to consider, because you don't want to be chasing down a career that's going to become obsolete, right? That's, of course, an important consideration. But saying, I'm going to be a nurse because they're in demand and they make great money, that's what I'm going to do, that's not the best way to make your decision. So it should be more about you, right? That's the whole point of actually this class, is thinking about who you are and what you're going to bring to specific positions and what's a good fit for you. So you don't want to focus just on the job market. There's more pieces to that puzzle. So let's talk about some wrong reasons to choose a major as well, right? Your parents want you to do it. That's really common. It's understandable. They want you to be happy and secure, but this has to be your decision. Maybe your friend told you this was a good major. You want to make a ton of money. You just want to get the decision out of the way and move on. Right reasons. You really love studying the subject. If you aren't engaged in this subject, college is going to be long and treacherous instead of engaging and fun and enlightening, right? It's going to be treacherous because you want to study something that you actually care about. If it feels right to you, it feels a part of who you are, you're naturally drawn to the material, you don't mind reading about it in your free time, and you've done all the research, right? And that's, again, part of what you're doing here in this course. So the right way to choose a major is self-assessment and research. Now, you're doing the self-assessment in this class, and the research as well, and that's going to be part of your assignment here. So a little overview for you. Again, my final thoughts will be, when it comes to that transfer piece, if that's what you're doing, or again, your ed plan in terms of getting through your associate degree or certificate at Citrus, talk to your counselor one-on-one.